So after I set up for me to visit, I thought I could answer some of those questions that people might have about how our family operates with biological families and what we do, how we maintain these open adoptions.
Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen this video, you know why I might be having some questions. I've got so many questions and there's just no answering to this. Like, well and truly, why does every single thing have to be shown? Like, in all seriousness, this isn't funny. This is like serious. Amy has got her serious voice on, okay? So let's throw out all the gates and the kerfuffles and the all that, right? This is actually quite serious. Why does every single thing have to be made into content? I don't understand it. Like a Q&A about your experience with open or closed adoption, great, but you're linking it, as we're going to see in a minute, you're linking it back to specific children, you're linking it back to the children in general. I've always said this, if you want to talk about your experience as a foster mum, an adoptive mum, if you want to talk about your own experience, great, but you're not doing that. You're dragging everyone else into it. So I'm just going to get started with the very beginning of what I think is a bit strange, and also Alicia being a bit of a copycat. There has been accusations and allegations that she is indeed copying other influencers. I mean, numerous influencers have literally come out and said that she straight up steals their content. So, you know, it's no surprise, but we're going to get into it. We're going to dissect a little bit of it. And I'm just trying to be, in all seriousness, I know sometimes I come across a bit ha ha he he, but in all seriousness, this video just didn't need to happen. It just did not need to happen at all.
We got this futon. Oh, normally we would shift kids around and she would have a bedroom. However, we've gained 2 more kids since the last time she was here, and we can't shift anymore. There's no shifting.
So straight off the bat, Alicia is telling us about one of her elder kids. A biological mum is coming round and she is showing us the futon and how she bought all of this different stuff. Why do we need to see where the woman is sleeping? It's nothing sacred. It's nothing sacred. Honestly, every single thing, every birthday, every celebration, every outing, everything is documented. Even a woman who is completely anonymous, supposedly, I'm going to get to that part in just a second. Even a woman who isn't a public figure is having where she's going to be sleeping just broadcasted. I know this isn't a big thing because at the end of the day, the bed is the bed. But the thing is that she's literally making content out of making a bed up for the biological mum. Where do you find these content ideas? You can explain this without showing it. It's just coming across like you're overly... I don't want to sound really mean when I say this, but it sounds like she's almost giving herself ass pats for doing this. Like, look, and I'm going through all of this effort to make up this stuff, and kind of putting herself on a pedestal quite a bit. This is the way that it's coming across to me, and it is so bizarre because we don't need to know what towels the woman is going to be drying herself with. No one needs to know this at all. I'm not saying like, oh no, we've seen what towel she's going to dry her foot with. Like, no one cares about that. But the fact is that this isn't content. Why is this here? This is meant to be a Q&A, and I'm watching her sort out this bedding. Not only that, but Alicia has figured out how to add music onto her videos, and it's the funniest thing because it's just turned up too loud.
I don't like sleeping with the top sheet. I feel like it gets all like tangled up around me.
She hasn't figured out how to adjust the volume so that you can hear what she's saying. So you have this loud ass music over her making the futon up. And I'm just so happy that she's actually figuring out how to edit in some sort of way. If she could just speed it up, that would be even better. Now, since the biological mum has been around, they have been appearing in TikToks and things like that. Obviously, I've just showed her face because it's literally on Alicia's public TikToks. There's 0 point in me not at this point. So obviously she supports what Alicia's doing. I think it's absolutely bonkers. Like, I think it's absolutely bonkers how you'd be okay with it in the very first place. Just what is happening, what is going on in that family. So some part of me is going, why the hell is Alicia making content out of her literally making the mum's bed, like making the bio mum's bed? like she's literally making this into content, but then again she'll then feature her in TikToks. So just how much of this is for show, I really don't know. But Alicia did actually do a Q&A onto this, which we're going to dissect. We're going to talk this one through, because I am ultra confused, and you're going to realise after I play a bit to you, Alicia is very much saying how she goes for open adoption because she wants the bio parents to become a big part of the family. Now, I've watched enough Dougherty Dozen to know that the amount of stories that Alicia has told, the amount of bad mouthing, the amount of stories and negative things she has had to say about some of her kids' stories, which are not hers to tell, is mind-boggling. Even though obviously she doesn't name the bio family's name, she's not doing that. She is constantly saying, oh, and this child, you know, was left in this state, and this child was left in that state. Sort of putting herself on a pedestal as if she was the one to come in and save them, and the bio parents are not nice people. This is the way that she has painted them from the get-go. There are so many incidences of her doing this, and now all of a sudden she's turning around and she's saying, no, we're all one big happy family. And I find this ultra confusing, and I'm not the only person who does find this confusing. A lot of other people do as well, and this was the very first thing that came to my mind when I saw this Q&A.
Josh and I have been foster parents for 13 years now, and we've had, I don't even know, 20-ish kids in and out of this house, some in forever. So we kind of adapted this theory along the way. Our first foster child was a foster adopt case. It was a closed adoption, not by our part, but by his adoption agency. And for years, like, he was just so torn over it. He wanted to know his mom. He wanted to meet his mom. He wanted to see his mom. He wanted to talk to his mom. He wanted to know how his mom was. And it was like this missing puzzle piece in his life.
Yeah, the key word being in his life, not your life, in his life, meaning that they can tell this side of the story. They can tell and let millions of people know all of this information in his life. You just said it.
And we realized how important, that is what taught us how important the biological connection is in foster care. These kids need biological connection. So we took on this approach with all of our placements. We've had kids in and out of this house. A lot of them have gone back to their biological family, been reunited. Some have gone on to a resource placement or another relative. And
now, I actually found this extremely interesting because I had no idea that they'd fostered other kids. I'm assuming that's what they're saying, if they had to foster them temporarily or they've moved on, etc, etc. I had absolutely no idea. I wonder why she doesn't talk. I reckon maybe the reason why she's never mentioned it, she doesn't mention specific cases, is because, you know, she's not allowed to. They're not her kids. Do you know what I mean? I reckon it's something to do with that. But I had absolutely no idea that they had taken in kids before the kids they have now.
in all of these scenarios, any child that entered our home, we treated the whole family as, how do I say it? We weren't just fostering that child that was living with us. We felt that God placed them in our lives because we were meant to help this family, the family unit. The majority of the cases we saw in foster care is not bad parents. It's not bad parents. It's people, it's parents in a bad point in their life.
Now, this is the point where Alicia actually starts to get pretty, angry with the camera. You'll be able to see it in a minute, but she does. She gets really quite serious. The thing is, right, I understand what she's saying. I appreciate her own viewpoint. Obviously, I don't foster or adopt children. I don't have any of my own, so I really don't have any experience on it. But the problem herein lies is that Alicia, like I've already said, has given us so many examples of some of the kids that have come into her home who were severely either traumatized or hurt or neglected or whatever. She's told us these stories, and now she's trying to spin a different narrative. She was spinning a narrative when it best suited her about how neglected these kids were, but now all of a sudden perhaps she's getting people commenting about the bio family's mum. You have to remember that people have actually managed to find the bio parents social medias, which, by the way, I honestly think that is do not do that. Do not go contacting people who didn't ask to be on Alicia's, social media. Please don't do that. But what I'm trying to say is that I think this video didn't come out of nowhere. I think this video is very much in retaliation to people actually contacting the bio families, which I'm saying is wrong, completely wrong. But Alicia has painted this picture of some of the families in not the best light. And I think she was doing that to give herself ass pats, you know what I mean? To pat herself on the back. Saying, look, I've taken these kids, which is an amazing thing to do. But in the process, she was also slating the bio families by saying what horrible conditions the kids were living in, but now they're so much better and stuff like that. So that is where I think this chat has come into it. But what I'm trying to say is that it's going to be extremely hard for you to try and convince a lot of people of what you're saying when you've spent a very long time not painting them in a very good way.
Who need help? Who need support? Who need love? Who need kindness? Who need non-judgment? And in so many of these families we saw, they never had that before. They never had somebody saying, I believe in you. You can do this. Don't give up. Keep going. And so we became that voice of support for so many of these families.
I saw this one comment saying, funny Alicia saying the families haven't been told to keep going and don't give up. Yet she has openly stated on a public platform that her kids can see that she believes due to the conditions and upbringing, a lot of her adopted foster kids won't enter the higher education system, which is a very good crossover of what I was trying to say previously with her saying this about the bio family, but then, also what she's saying just now, how, telling everyone, don't give up, keep going. Yet it's true, she has said that pretty much none of her kids are going to go to college or anything like that because of their upbringing.
And that is the one side of how we operate as foster parents. How we operate in open adoption, we have 5 biological families between the 8 kids. So moving on to adoption, the kiddos that we did adopt, we did open adoptions. We changed it to open. Thankfully that all worked out okay. Because we saw at that point, like these kids, we never wanted our children to question where they come from and how their family's doing and all of that.
Now, just giving my completely uneducated opinion, because like I say, I don't have any experience with this. I think that in some cases this would work well, and yeah, you would question where your roots are and all of that. I think there are definitely some cases where stuff was so severe in that child's life that it is best just to cut all ties, and that definitely does happen. So I think the only people that can really judge this is Josh and Alicia, if they're looking at the child previous life, previous whatever, and judging it from there. And I think that's all that really should matters. But the people contacting the bio families, I say this, I do not get it.
We just wanted them to be able to pick up the phone and be like, hey, how are you doing? So yeah, we are pro open adoption. How do we make it work? We're just open. Just open. Like, I'm friends with them on Facebook, and they are welcome to come to our house, and they come to the kids' birthday parties, and I tell them when all of their kids' sporting events are, and they can go to whatever game they're able to fit in their schedule. It's just open.
She's saying that she's really good mates with them, but honestly, the amount of shade that she's thrown towards some of these families is absolutely ridiculous. Like, even down to like the buying of the Christmas and the birthday presents, she always lets us know, if she's bought presents for this bio family because they can't afford it and all of this kind of stuff. Like, and it's just the little bits, isn't it? It's just the little bits of information she's given us, which is painting them in a certain way. Like, if you're good friends, you don't be doing that. You just don't be doing that. You just don't mention it because A, it's not your story to tell. It's the kids if they want to. And B, it's just not necessary. I can't be the only one that thinks this. It's just not necessary to say.
And it works. It works for us. I know this does not work for every family, but this is what works for us. How did we make this work? I think from what I've seen, sometimes a lot of adoptive families can feel like I don't want my adopted kids to love their mom better than me. Like, that's not my standpoint. I'm like, hey, the more people who love my kid, the better. Like, it's not competition here. We're all family. We all love this kid. Let's show them that we love them.
So this is one of the bits I really do agree with. I do agree with her there that, yeah, I do. I like her message. I like her overall message there.
Another way that I always look at the biological families is they gave me the gift of being a mom to their child. Like, that is such a massive gift that I'm so thankful for. And yeah, like, why would I have anger and animosity towards someone who gave me such an amazing gift?
And this is where it just went backwards again. I do think that there is some animosity there. I really do. Otherwise, why do you always just used to throw reference like, oh, when this child came in, they had this issue because of this is what happened with their bio family. Like, honestly, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Or if you've been cottoning onto it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And I'm not saying that there's like deep-rooted hatred or whatever. That is not what I'm getting at. But I'm just saying that you can't act all surprised when people aren't sharing your same viewpoint on like the biological families, and how come everyone isn't just, you know, feeling bad for them in that moment and stuff. Like, it's the way that you have painted them. You have painted them in this particular way. If you hadn't have mentioned them and you hadn't have said all this information, A, people wouldn't be contacting the bio families, and B, people wouldn't have any thoughts and opinions. They wouldn't have any harbouring feelings towards it. Now, we're now just going to get into just reading some of the accusations that are being thrown around, with people saying that Alicia is stealing Heather from Just the Bells 10, stealing her content. She is doing it again. And I'm just going to play to you this video that Heather actually did. When was this? This was about a couple months ago, I think. I did a video on it. It was a segment of my video that I did, where she basically explains that, you know, Alicia has been doing this for a little while.
To trust her. And then she ditched me, just like she does with all her other friends. That's why she has no friends. She's not only done it to me, but a dozen other creator moms who have big families who foster and adopt. She takes what she needs. She steals your content. She said I stole her content, but look at the pages and you'll see. And that's kind of how I know the Dougherty is, because that's what she does. So anyway.
A commenter said, you legit just copied what another adoption family posted a couple of weeks ago. Here's a question for your Q&A. Can you please answer the questions being asked about your charity fundraiser for January and what it is this month? Honestly, I asked this in my last video. I said, what the hell are they raising money for in February? Because they said that they'd raise money every single month for a different organisation. They didn't really do much promotion last month, and this month, radio silence. So I'd love to know that as well. Just the Bells 10 posted a very similar video yesterday. Now, I did actually click on the comments, and it was basically a typo. It was like a month ago or 2 weeks or however long ago. Now, the thing is with YouTube is that you're bound to post really similar things to other content creators within your niche. However, right, I do believe people when they're saying this, because the mum from Just the Bells has turned around in the past and said that everyone used to accuse her of stealing Alicia's videos, when in actual fact it was completely the other way around. And now people are actually realising this and they're cottoning on to it. You know, she has said this before, and now other people are saying, wait, hold on a minute. You know, I think Alicia just got the idea. I think she got the idea. A part of it was, you know, kind of copycatting the idea, and another part of it was her trying to put a good light on the bio families. This is just my own thoughts and opinions. It's not what I know, it's what I think, okay? I think there's been a lot of contacting of the bio families, which I heavily disagree with. I think there's been a lot of commotion behind the scenes, and Alicia is now trying to do her due diligence and promote them in a really good light, whilst also simultaneously being quite lazy with her content and kind of stealing it off someone else. But what is new? That's just what I think. Yeah, quite honestly, this whole video just did not need to happen. It could have just been done so much better. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.